When law enforcement shut down the Silk Road marketplace in 2013, they inadvertently sparked an unprecedented technological arms race that continues today. The case of Ross Ulbricht, Silk Road's founder, proved to be just the opening chapter in an evolving digital standoff. With each marketplace authorities dismantle, more sophisticated networks emerge from the shadows. During 2025, cybercrime facilitated through these hidden networks is projected to cost $10.5 trillion annually, exceeding the entire global illegal drug trade and representing one of the largest wealth transfers in history. What was once a simple dark web bust has evolved into an impossible game of digital cat and mouse. The digital underground. From surface web to the shadows. What if I told you that the internet you use every day represents just 4% of what actually exists online? The familiar terrain of search engines, social media platforms, and websites accessible through standard browsers is merely the visible tip of a massive digital iceberg. Beneath this surface web lies a vastly larger realm, a digital underground that remains invisible to most internet users. The internet's structure resembles a three-tiered system, much like an iceberg with distinct layers. The surface web. This is the indexed internet, which accounts for just 4%. This is the web that most of us know and use, and is catalogued by search engines. The next layer is the deep web. This is made up of password-protected databases and private networks and accounts for 90% of the web. And finally, the dark web. This layer is made up of deliberately hidden networks, only accessible via specialized software. This accounts for the remaining 6% of the web. Together, these hidden realms operate parallel to our familiar online experience, estimated to be over 500 times larger than what most users interact with daily. An invisible digital universe operating in parallel to our conventional online activities. The dark web's primary access point, the Tor network, originated not from criminal enterprises, but from the US Naval Research Laboratory, as a government project designed to protect sensitive communications. Its fundamental technology, onion routing, creates a shield of anonymity by encrypting data in multiple layers, and routing connections through a series of encrypted relays. No single point knows both the data's origin and destination, a masterpiece of privacy engineering. This anonymous architecture evolved systematically over time. Freenet, released in 2000, marked the first significant breakthrough by allowing users to share files without revealing identities. Building on these principles, Tor emerged in 2002, offering a more sophisticated framework that would become the backbone of dark web access. These innovations were driven primarily by legitimate privacy concerns, not the illicit applications that later followed. The final evolutionary step came with cryptocurrency integration. Bitcoin transformed dark web operations by enabling completely untraceable transactions outside traditional financial systems. Users could now exchange value anonymously, without banking institutions or government oversight. This combination of anonymous networks, sophisticated encryption, and untraceable payment systems created perfect conditions for an unprecedented game of cat and mouse between shadow operators and law enforcement. The dark web's design makes conventional policing tactics nearly obsolete. IP addresses can't be traced, financial transactions leave no paper trail, and communications remain encrypted and ephemeral. The fall of Silk Road. A victory that triggered rapid evolution. In the shadowy corners of the digital world, hubris often proves more dangerous than any technical vulnerability. When FBI agents arrested Ross Ulbricht in a San Francisco library in 2013, they weren't confronting him with sophisticated cyber warfare, they were leveraging his profoundly human mistakes. Despite mastering the technical architecture of anonymity, Ulbricht had committed the digital equivalent of leaving fingerprints at a crime scene. The saga of Silk Road represents one of the most consequential chapters in dark web history. Between 2011 and 2013, this pioneering marketplace facilitated over $1.2 billion in illegal transactions, operating with remarkable efficiency behind layers of encryption. Yet the technical sophistication of Ulbricht's operation contained an ironic fatal flaw: the human element. His downfall stemmed from elementary operational security errors, using his personal email address in Silk Road-related communications while simultaneously posting under his real name on public forums, discussing the marketplace he secretly operated. These digital breadcrumbs created a trail that investigators methodically followed. Law enforcement agencies employed financial forensics, tracking Bitcoin flowing from Silk Road to wallets connected to Ulbricht, demonstrating that cryptocurrency transactions lacked the anonymity many assumed they possessed. When agents finally closed in on Ulbricht, they believed they'd struck a decisive blow against dark web commerce. The marketplace that had normalized anonymous drug transactions disappeared, its creator facing life imprisonment, and law enforcement celebrated what appeared to be a definitive victory. This moment of apparent triumph contained the seeds of its own undoing. Within a month of Silk Road's shutdown, Silk Road 2 emerged from the digital ashes, an upgraded version incorporating lessons from its predecessor's downfall. By early 2014, over 30 active dark web marketplaces competed for the suddenly displaced user base. Each successive marketplace implemented increasingly sophisticated security measures. Newer platforms embraced currencies like Monero, offering substantially greater anonymity than Bitcoin. And enhanced escrow systems protected buyers and sellers. Rigorous user verification processes helped prevent law enforcement infiltration, and the ecosystem thrived through rapid adaptation. What authorities failed to anticipate was how each enforcement action would serve as an accelerant for innovation. Every marketplace takedown became a real-time educational opportunity for the next generation of platforms. The very tactics that brought down Silk Road created a selection pressure, eliminating vulnerable operations, while allowing more resilient ones to flourish. The impossible game. Law enforcement's evolving challenge. The selection pressure that eliminated vulnerable operations while allowing resilient ones to flourish wasn't just shaping criminal enterprises, it was transforming law enforcement itself. When authorities announced the takedown of Alpha Bay in 2017, they celebrated what appeared to be their greatest victory against dark web commerce. What they couldn't reveal was the true nature of their strategy, one that would trigger unprecedented panic throughout the digital underworld. Operation Bayonet marked a pivotal moment in this technological chess game. Like a grandmaster anticipating moves ahead, law enforcement didn't just dismantle Alpha Bay, they had secretly seized control of Hansa, another major marketplace weeks before. When Alpha Bay users fled en masse to Hansa, they unknowingly walked straight into a trap. This brilliantly orchestrated honeypot strategy yielded unprecedented intelligence as every message, transaction, and keystroke was logged, creating waves of paranoia that reverberated through every corner of the dark web. The community's response was swift and transformative. Market operators implemented sophisticated countermeasures, resembling high-security systems. Verification protocols functioning like digital polygraph tests to detect infiltration. Deadman switches similar to timed safeguards in secure facilities that automatically wiped servers if operators didn't check in, and decentralized architectures that eliminated single points of failure by distributing operations across multiple independent nodes. The marketplace landscape underwent a fundamental restructuring into a Hydra-like network. Rather than congregating on a few major platforms, users dispersed across dozens of smaller, specialized markets. Cut off one head, and several more would emerge, each more difficult to track than the last. Consider the jurisdictional nightmare. A typical investigation might involve servers physically located in Eastern Europe, operators based in Southeast Asia, and users scattered across 6 continents. Each border crossing introduced new legal hurdles and bureaucratic friction that slowed enforcement actions to a crawl while dark web operations evolved at digital speed. The economic stakes continued to escalate. Cybercrime costs reached $6 trillion in 2021, with projections suggesting $10.5 trillion in 2025. Perhaps most troubling is how these operations have adopted corporate-like structures with dedicated customer service teams, quality assurance protocols, and money-back guarantees. In short, professionalized, criminal enterprises operating with ruthless business efficiency. The endgame. Beyond the criminal activities that thrive in its shadows, the dark web confronts us with profound ethical dilemmas. It exists as both sanctuary and threat, a space where political dissidents find protection alongside predators seeking anonymity. Consider a journalist in an authoritarian regime, whose life depends on the same tools used by traffickers. This digital realm embodies the tension between our fundamental rights to privacy and society's need for security. So how do we balance essential privacy with necessary security? Traditional law enforcement approaches prove inadequate against this evolving ecosystem. The solution may lie not in absolute surveillance, nor unfettered anonymity, but in unprecedented collaboration between cybersecurity experts and law enforcement agencies. In conclusion then, the architecture of tomorrow's digital society hinges on decisions we make today, and whether we build walls or bridges in our hidden networks.